Hello, everybody, and welcome. And I have to apologize. I just spent 30 minutes doing a Facebook Live, and for whatever reason, it didn't work. So, yay, gotta love technology, which is why at some point I will probably start doing this another way. But, okay, welcome. And again, I apologize because I thought I was live and I just spent 30 minutes giving a Facebook Live. And when I shut it down, it's like, nope, you never started it. Okay, so thank you so much. I am Rita Jablonski. I am a researcher, a nurse practitioner, and an expert in dementia behaviors. I've been doing this since 1982. I started out as a nursing assistant. I also have an active clinical practice in a neurology setting where I work exclusively with people with memory issues. So again, oh, hello. I have people joining. Thank you so much. When you show up, do me a favor and say hello in the comments. And thank you so much for joining me. And again, sorry about the confusion. To err is human. To really fuck things up, get a computer. Okie doke. So before I dive into the how-to section of this podcast and this Facebook Live, I want to talk about the emotions and beliefs around driving, and knowing this information can really help you strategize. So I grew up in Philadelphia, and it's really hilarious because when I tell people that I currently live in Birmingham, Alabama, they look at me funny, and because I don't think I sound very Southern, although when I visit my family in Philadelphia, they tell me I have an accent. No idea. But living in Philadelphia, driving was a complete nightmare, especially during rush hour. So I lived on public transportation. In fact, taking the train or subway was often quicker than driving and cheaper than paying premium parking rates. In fact, I did not learn to drive until my senior year in high school. I resisted it. And for me, driving continues to be a necessary evil, and my goal is to become rich enough that I can just do Uber and Lyft all the time or hire a driver. I am not a fan of driving. That's me. For others, driving has extreme emotional significance. When I lived in rural Pennsylvania, my daughter Sarah took driver's education in her high school, and getting that learner's permit and then getting that driver's license at age 16 was like, it was so important. And well, I mean, we lived in Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania, and there were no cabs, no Ubers, no Lyfts. Maybe there are now, but at that time, there was none of that. There was no public transportation. Even the closest store was a couple of miles that you had to walk. And to Sarah and her friends, there was so much emotional voltage around driving. It meant independence and freedom, and it was just it was a big hairy deal. And to be honest, I was so excited when she finally was able to drive. That meant she took her brother everywhere, and I didn't have to drive him. So for many of my patients living with dementia, especially my male patients, driving has this incredible emotional charge. I honestly think some of my patients would prefer hearing that they need to have a leg amputated rather than being told no more driving. If a person with, it is really important to understand how the person living with dementia values driving in order to tweak the strategies. Also, the type of dementia also affects the use of these strategies, and I'll get to that in a moment. I'm going to offer some suggestions that I have used or I've watched other family caregivers use to end driving. The worst thing you can do in most cases, especially if the person living with dementia is unaware of their memory problems, we call that anosognosia, I forgot, is to have this like big family meeting and sit them down and have everybody explain why they shouldn't be driving. No, 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 don't. It's just going to be a god awful mess. So I'm not a fan of that. Again, especially if the person living with dementia is unaware of their deficits. If the person is aware that things aren't going real well, again, I'm real hesitant to do that because I think it's going to be difficult. Now, if other people have used that approach and it's worked, I would love to hear about it in the comments, because as much experience as I have, and I've been doing this for a while, I'm always learning something. So here are the strategies. Number 1, take a break from driving. In my practice, I often tell the person living with dementia that I want him or her to take a break from driving until I see them again 6 months later in the clinic. Most times, the person living with dementia is unaware that he or she has memory problems, and they will hotly deny that they have memory problems if somebody says, you can't drive because you have Alzheimer's. Really? I don't know. I don't feel like I have Alzheimer's. And then you start the whole hamster wheel. I try to use physical, non-threatening reasons for the break, and I'll get to that in a second. Think about it. What feels better for you? You can never have chocolate again, or I want you to take a break from chocolate for a couple of months. I want you to take a break from carbs for a couple of months. I want you to take a break from alcohol for a couple of months. That's doable, and it's less final than you can never have, whatever again. Chocolate, wine, whatever you like, carbs. Second, use a physical reason for the driving break. As we age, we have more and more physical problems that create driving issues. What I do is I will do a physical exam, and if I see problems with neck mobility or finger movement or some type of arthritis or slowed reflexes, I jump on that. If you're working with a loved one and you know they have, again, arthritis, problems with their neck, maybe visual problems, need to get that new glasses or need to get those cataracts fixed, you can jump on that. So some examples include neck pain. Since you can't turn your neck, let's take a break from driving until we get that fixed. You can use hip or knee problems, even foot numbness from diabetes. And I've had the lived experience of having a knee replacement and being told, you can't drive for 6 weeks after your knee replacement. And the orthopod told me, well, when I do go back to driving, have a family member in the car to give me a sense of if my driving is okay. So my son bravely volunteered after 6 weeks to drive around the neighborhood with me, and I thought I was doing really good. So we get in front of the house, and I turned to him all smiles like, hey, Mark, what do you think? And he said, Mom, your driving isn't great to begin with, but since you've had that knee replacement, your driving really sucks. I thought you were going to hit the car in front of you a couple of times. I was completely unaware of it, to be honest with you. I thought I was doing just dandy. But because it was a physical reason and I didn't want to have a car accident, I said to my son, okay, I'll take a break for 3 more weeks. Now, if I had been told that I needed to stop driving because of memory issues, you would have seen pushback on that. So one note though, these strategies can backfire when the person living with dementia has what's called behavioral variant frontotemporal dementia, or FTD. People with FTD have what is called executive dysfunction. This means that people living with behavioral variant FTD have problems with judgment and impulsivity and emotional reactions more than memory problems early in the disease. Sometimes using a physical reason for not driving and suggesting a break does not work in these cases. I've had 50-50. I've had some people with behavioral variant FTD where I have used a non-dementia reason and it was accepted. And every 6 months I would say, oh, geez, your reflexes still are not where they need to be. And they'd say, okay. And I go back 6 months later, and eventually, as the memory problems took over, then driving became less of an issue. I've had other situations where I used that approach and it blew up in my face. So that's where behavioral variant FTD is its own animal, and a lot of strategies that I promote for Alzheimer's, vascular, Parkinson's disease, dementia with Lewy bodies may work for those scenarios, but FTD, I really have to tweak a lot of stuff. So if me using the you need to take a break strategy with FTD does not work, I flatly tell them in the appointment, no, you cannot drive, period. And then I tell the family, blame me. Every time the person living with dementia says, I want to drive, you say, the mean nurse practitioner said no. I'd rather the person with FTD be pissed off at me and not, I don't want the family member getting that FTD rage. So if number 1 and 2 don't work, number 3, disable the vehicle. Depending on the year, make, and model of the car, this can be done in a variety of ways. If the car has a code, the numbers, you punch in a numerical code, go to the dealer, get the code changed. For cars that use the electronic fobs, the keyless cars, pop the battery out of the fob. I've had family members keep the fob live, and the person living with dementia got a hold of that fob and off the person went. So take the battery from the key fob. If you can't do it, ask the dealer to do it. For older makes and models, the old pull the cables off the battery works. I'm sure there are other ways to disable vehicles. I'm not an expert. Talk to your mechanic, your dealer, whoever it is that works on your car, and get ideas. But these are the 3 main ways I have found that works. And by the way, my family caregivers never cease to amaze me with their creativity. One note of caution. If you're going to disable the vehicle, let your helpful neighbors know. Because one family member I knew went to work. His mother decided she was going to drive. Car didn't work. Right, that's what we didn't want the car to work. She bangs on the next door neighbor's door and says, honey, my car isn't working. The lovely neighbor, unaware of the situation, goes over, pops the hood, connects the batteries, off mom goes. So let your friends, family, and neighbors know not to be helpful and fix the car. You may also want to alert whatever car services you have, like AAA or whatever companies or subscriptions you have. If there is a car breakdown, to let them know you've disabled this vehicle on purpose. Please don't come and fix the situation. The final strategy is to remove the vehicle. And there's one way I've seen that was utilized multiple times, and it seems to work well. And that is to say, hey, car needs some work. I'm going to go take the car in for an oil change. Okay. And maybe you do take the car in for an oil change so you don't feel like you're lying. Then your script from then on is the car needed some work, parts delayed. The car needed some work, they don't have the part. Keep it short, sweet, and concrete. Do not go deep here. Parts on back order. They don't have the part. They can't find it. And I use a strategy called entering reality because I know we don't like to lie. Well, I'm sure somewhere there's a part for that car that is on back order somewhere. And all you have to do is say, car's still waiting for its part. And then you feel better about it. So I have seen family members use this tactic. It's still in the garage getting work done, or it's still... I had one family member, and where he got the idea was he got the recall notice in the mail. So he showed the recall notice to his dad and said, shoot, car has a recall notice. And he did get the car addressed. And then he took the car and he dropped it over at, somewhere else, like at a friend's house, quite a few miles away. And every time dad said something, the son just said, still waiting on the part. So, and ultimately, dad stopped asking about the car. Here's my one note of caution. Do not tell the person living with dementia the car has been stolen. I've had family members, out of desperation, say, the car got stolen. No. First of all, you are going to trigger a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. And those emotions are going to trigger other behaviors, and you're going to have a mess on your hands. And it's also kind of a shitty thing to do because they're going to feel vulnerable. Oh my God, my car got stolen. They're going to feel violated. No. The other thing is they may pick up the phone and report the car stolen. And if law enforcement notices, and especially if they report the car stolen and you don't know that they did, and you might be driving the car somewhere or have the car parked out in a family member's driveway, and then the police show up, you're going to have a shit of a mess. So please don't. So final words. It is sometimes tempting, once you have established the no driving boundary and they're not driving anymore, sometimes it may be tempting, or better yet, another family member may come home for the holidays and they may think it's a good idea to let mom drive the car a little bit. Or especially here in Alabama, there's a lot of rural areas. Somebody may decide it's okay to put dad in the farm pickup truck and let him drive through the pastures where the cows are. Don't. Because what will happen is you will generate a lot of emotional voltage around returning to driving, and you will likely cause a surge of brain juice, of acetylcholine that will lay down that memory. And now the person living with dementia has a memory that they just created that, yes, they were allowed to drive, so they have no idea why you are not letting them drive. And you will go backwards. So please, please, please do not go backwards and do that. I had a situation where somebody thought it was a good idea to let their family member see the truck again. Like they bought the truck over after they had taken the truck away, and I thought you wanted to see the truck again. No, it just started all the behavior over again. So please, please, please don't do that. Okay, couple of things. I want to let my viewers know that I do have a YouTube where I post these videos in addition to Facebook Live. I also have some videos on my YouTube channel for things like bridging and chaining, hand over hand. So some of those strategies I talk about in my care refusal podcasts and Facebook Lives. If you're wondering what those things look like, I have images. Also, stay tuned. I will be getting some, I'm putting together an opportunity for up to 10 people to work with me. I will have weekly live webinars where I will go through strategies about irritability and care refusal, the old S&M diagnosis, stubborn and mean. So that will be happening probably around second week of January. I'll provide more information as I put things together. And also, some of you may be experiencing a lot of behaviors that you're having difficulty with, and I can help. I often get asked, what is dementia coaching and why would I need it? Well, I have had coaches for different things. I have a riding coach because I ride horses. Yes, I can get on that horse and probably figure things out, but I'll probably fall, or it will take me a year and a half or 10 years. Today, I took a lesson with one of our local experts. We had a riding clinic, and in 45 minutes, he showed me 3 techniques that dramatically improved my riding and my communication with my horse in 45 minutes. Changed my riding. Well, that's what I do as a dementia coach. Sure, you can go look at all the Facebook pages, you can read everything you want, and you can devote a lot of time and a lot of your precious time and your precious limited energy looking for these resources. And some of these resources may work, some may not. There's also lots of people in these Facebook groups that are family caregivers just like you. Some people have really good ideas. Some people really need to keep their mouth shut. For those of you in support groups, you know what I'm talking about. So if you work with me, I can save you a lot of precious time and precious energy learning stuff through trial and error. As a matter of fact, I got a beautiful compliment from someone who discovered my Make Dementia Your Bitch blog, and she sent me an email, and she said, I felt like I walked into the secret garden of dementia care. And that compliment was awesome. So if you're having issues and you want to work with me, you can reach me at rita.jablonski@gmail. I have my other ways you can reach me in the notes for the podcast. For Facebook, direct message me. I'd be happy to speak with you, schedule a video conferencing call to figure out what you need, if I can help you, if we would be a good match. So thank you so much for being here with me. It's always awesome to spend time with all of you. And together, we're going to make dementia our bitch.